Welcome into another edition around almost in around the Ozark sports scene. I'm so used to doing that podcast that it just comes out naturally, you know.
They're always trying to get a plug for your other show.
Exactly. This is the Ozarks Gambling Gurus. I'm Scotty P, Danny Handpay, and Murf alongside as we do episode 3 tonight. We got a really big show for you. We're going to have a couple guests come on. We're going to at 9:15 talk to our friend and former Missouri State Representative, longtime attorney Elijah Haahr. He's got a radio show in Springfield weekly, and we made an appearance on there last week. Wanted to bring him on to talk about the online betting situation. You know, why we're having to wait till December 1st, and he can answer our questions about that and tethering and the history of this thing being held up and everything else. So looking forward to talking to Elijah about 9:15. And then Phil Montgomery, the guy who made Randy Murf an all-COC third-team linebacker at Ozark High School, will be joining us at 9:30, talk some college football picks for the weekend. It is the first full weekend of college football. Got some big matchups on Saturday and Sunday, so we'll talk to Phil. Phil follows just about as close as anybody you know, doesn't he, guys?
Phil's a good football guy.
Yeah.
You know, and after the weekend, love reading his, he's a big SEC guy because he's a Bama fan and kind of get his take on all things SEC. So we'll talk to Phil about 9:30.
Hey, the only bad thing about Phil, it's hard for him to, actually give his opinion. We'll really have to try to coax that out of him because
he's kind of a bashful guy.
He is.
You know, if he calls one of us a ham and egger, it's par for the course. You know, that I think there's a big retirement ceremony for him coming up here. And I made a comment on there that if they're not serving ham and eggs as part of it, then they're missing the boat on there. Cause that was Phil's go-to, but
I think it's tomorrow night.
Is it tomorrow night?
I think it is. Yeah. I'll
Okay.
have to look that. I got a text.
I need to look that up. Yeah, I know. I thought it was in September, but I'll look and see if that's tomorrow night. But guys, gambling weekend, I went down to Downstream and got mad and quit after about 2 hours and playing Dan's Silver Dollar Saloon that you just can't lose on. Apparently you can. And the only machine in history that I've seen that I could hit 30 consecutive times and come up empty, you know, after hitting one of those and getting up there a little bit and getting all excited. And then 30 consecutive spins, I had given back everything and then a little bit more. But
30 spins in a row. What'd you lose there? Like $6?
Yeah, it's close to it. Yeah. You know, I might have been doing 60 cents a spin on this one. I was pushing $1. So
you quit too soon. You were due. I bet the next
exactly.
guy had probably jackpotted it. So
Dan, you took the weekend off. You almost went to Downstream, right?
They had a little snafu. I'm not sure what happened. If anybody knows, drop us a line on Facebook or somewhere. And I got an email, I think Friday night, they were giving away a Jeep truck on Saturday. So I thought I might go down and those are always kind of fun to watch the people, see who wins. And then Saturday late morning, I got another email that drawing had been canceled. And anybody that had received the first email, they were getting a free meal on Downstream that night. So I'm not sure what happened, but they did not give a truck away. Tomorrow night, they are giving away a new Jeep Wrangler Downstream, though.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And how do you get into that? Is you just
on the one
in with your card?
Yeah, on the one tomorrow night, you've earned entries over the last several weeks. So however many points you've earned, you have that many entries going into tomorrow night's drawing.
Be proud of me. I took my card and I put it in the slots and, you know, it told me I had 0 credits or whatever. So I guess I'm a ways away, huh?
You might have earned some, though.
Yeah. I did notice this. My wife and I were looking at for an Indigo Sky trip in September before the pool shuts down, just kind of and you know, those Sunday through Thursday free room nights are gold. Notice that next month it's Sunday through Wednesday. They've cut Thursdays off now. So I wonder a lot of people that were going on Thursday and making a weekend of it, which I would think would be a good thing for a casino. But Murf, you spent a large part of your weekend in Oklahoma. Tell us about the trip down to Hard Rock.
I did. to start the morning off, I had to leave early because it was for the seniors event on Sunday down in at Hard Rock. And they start at 10 a.m. for the seniors. I guess they think we get up a little earlier, but I should have listened to the Galaxy. I was about 4 miles down James River and wasn't paying attention, got pulled over. So I guess I was going 95 and a 70. So I should have just,
Wow.
I know. I don't
They
know. I was
frown
excited.
upon that, I believe. Did you
Yeah,
not
he
throw
wasn't
out
happy.
that you're part of the Ozarks Gambling Gurus team to, be like showing cleavage if you were a girl, wouldn't it? Pretty much.
I tried, but it's to no avail. He wrote me up a ticket pretty quick. So that started the
Nice.
day off pretty bad.
What's
But got down there. Do what, Dan?
What is that going to cost you?
I don't know, but it probably won't be pretty. He said he knocked it from 96 to 95 to keep me from a mandatory court appearance. So
What a great guy.
yeah. So my head was in the wrong spot from the get-go. So that's what I'll blame my early exit from the seniors event on Sunday. But
I got a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the age for seniors in a poker tournament, and why is there a senior division? Are you guys think slower, or reaction time's not as good? Why is there a seniors event?
It's only 50, so it's pretty young for a seniors. But I think I don't know why it's so young. But I think when the internet kids came out, they were like, we better give these older guys a shot. So, but now the internet kids are probably in their early 40s or late 30s, so they'll be there soon.
So like if you sit down with an 18-year-old kid, and how old are you now? 50 what?
55.
Do you have an advantage because of your experience? I would think you guys could be in the same division.
Yeah, now the teenage kids and the early 20-somethings, I mean, they can play online, but back in the heyday, the early 2000s through 2012, the young generation coming through were seeing so many hands, multi-tabling. They just saw so many hands, more than a live player. And I played a little online, like to play tournaments online, but I like playing live, cash, one table. It's about all my brain can handle. But the kids that are in their late 30s and 40s now, they were seeing tons of hands. So that's when poker it took off because of all the numbers, but they were also learning just as quick as older guys.
The thing I noticed walking around in a huff on Friday night, it is just the overall inflection of young people in the casino now. You walk by the table games, and almost every blackjack table is like 8 kids that look like they're about 19 or 20. And, craps is a little different because I think you can lose money there in about 30 seconds and lose everything you brought, from what I understand. But just, and I guess that's great for a casino because those 18 and 19-year-olds become 40 years old or 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds that still go to the casino, don't they?
Yeah, and then school's starting back up, so they got mom and dad's money. Maybe they're I don't know. That's why I've seen a lot more kids down there recently. But
or Pell Grants,
they're student loans. They don't have to pay those back.
Loans,
I guess they do now. But
wait till mom and dad find out where that money went, right?
Exactly.
So, when was the first age that you guys remember going to a casino?
Oh gosh, for me it was. Oh, I guess I went to Las Vegas a couple of times, but that was back probably my early 30s. First time I went to Las Vegas.
I went to Vegas in 90 when I was 20. Was yet 21, but they weren't sticklers like they are now. And played slots with my folks. I'm sure I think I played some blackjack too, because the age wasn't, they didn't card like they do now. So that was my first time to go.
I guess I don't know the answer to this, but when did we first get a downstream down there?
Downstream came around 2008, I believe. Dan, isn't that right?
That sounds right. I honestly don't know.
2007, 2008. Now you could go to the St. Louis. I remember going to the Casino Queen. It was actually in Illinois, and Sean Haahr, who we were talking about earlier, he and I would venture up there often. But you had to pay. It was an actual riverboat, and you had to pay $16 to get on. And that was my first kind of real casino gambling, was in Illinois.
I remember those days. What you kind of getting in a history lesson here, but what happened?
Downstream opened in 2008. It was a $200 million project.
What happened that allowed us to get Downstream and Indigo Sky and all those?
Indian gaming, right, Dan? Indian casinos were.
And then states, some states allowed them to open casinos, and some had restrictions.
Yeah.
And is that when Oklahoma opened it up? Then is 2008, that area?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Buffalo Run. Why do I think that was? Was Buffalo Run open before Downstream? I think it was. So I'm not sure that year. I don't know. I'll have to look back. That's been a while.
That'd be a great trivia question. What was the first open casino within 100 miles of Springfield? Because I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Run was 2009. I just looked it up.
Which was?
Buffalo Run was
Buffalo Run.
Oh, really? Okay.
What about Indigo Sky? Because I know Kansas Crossing is the newest of the.
Right.
I think they were right after Downstream, but
what was Border Town? That turned into Indigo, and what was Quapaw? Like I remember going to the trailers and playing poker, and they had slots. And that was before 2008, I think.
That was the old Downstream,
right?
So that before that.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the year on whenever that was legal.
12.
Our holiday weekends, like the one we have coming up, anything special for casinos? I know it's usually probably pretty full with people having time off, and the beauty of it for all of us in this area is we can go down there and go down and back if we want, or go stay a couple nights and go to the pool. But do you know, Randy, if there's any special events going on? Or
well, back at Hard Rock still, the Oklahoma State Championship goes through this weekend, and the main event starts, I believe, tomorrow. They have like 2 or 3 days that you can buy in. So you can, like, if you bust day one, you can try day 1B, which would be Friday. And then they play day 2, I believe, on Sunday, the main event. So that's going on. I won't be going back down there because I lost too much this last day or two. But so, Dan, whenever you're in a slump, what do you do?
Oh, I usually try to stay away for a little bit, because
how long?
It goes in cycles. I mean, and really nothing you can do about it, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I've been in the world since I went to Vegas for the World Series. My tournament, I've just been running so poorly at tournaments. Cash has been okay, but that ebbs and flows. And then, of course, if I have any money left, I go fired at Silver Dollar Saloon or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But football season's coming. It's a good time for about a month break for me.
Dan's got a deal with Downstream at both places on that machine. I think
he does.
I'm going to do a podcast and tell everybody to go play this machine. And then Downstream is going to give me a cut of it if I do that and stuff.
They just refund his buy-ins. He just shows what he put in. They're like, here you go, keep talking about it.
I even told my wife, is it VGT? What's the initials on it?
VGT.
Yeah, I even said, hey, look for the VGT machines, because Dan says you cannot lose on those.
Yeah, Dan did not say that.
I think, do we have it on tape?
I think so. I think he said guaranteed win. I remember that.
I believe he said he would refund any losses that people had.
He owes me a bunch then from Monday night.
Yeah. Well, we got our first guest ready to come on. We're going to try to add him to the stage here, see if we can have 4 on here. And we can. Welcome in Elijah Haahr, the former Missouri representative, longtime attorney, host of a radio show in the area. We mentioned, Elijah, that we talked on your show on Friday a little bit about the online gambling, and you gave us a platform to promote this podcast.
You got 4 people watching tonight. You're booming.
I know. I don't know if it's the late night hours or what. We were up to 7 the other night, but we're getting 200 views after the fact. So I think people going to bed or decide if they want to devote the time to us at late night like this. But say hello to Randy Murf and Dan Evans, our partners on here.
Hey, Elijah.
Nice to meet you, Danny.
So we've got questions, with the online sports gambling, and you and I again touched on this the other day. Tell us why we're having to wait till December 1st, and we're missing all these great NFL and college football games that we could be betting on, and the state could be reaping the benefits of financially.
Sure. So when the initiative, there's 2 answers to that. There's the technical legal answer, and then there's the sort of behind the scenes answer. Technical legal answer is when the initiative petition passed, it said in there, it technically did not become law until December of 2024. That's when they certified the results. And it said not less than December 1 of 2025 will people be able to gamble. That was the wording of it. So technically, the rule is that they have to go through a period of comment during that time. Now, the Gaming Commission filed an application and said, hey, we would like the Secretary of State to propose an emergency rule allowing us to do this earlier. There's two reasons that the Secretary of State can essentially circumvent the process and shorten them down. One is to prevent danger. Obviously, that doesn't fail. The other one is just if there's a compelling state interest. That's where it gets a little bit gray, and it's sort of in the eye of the beholder, and that's where we get to the less technical answer. Secretary of State said, listen, there's no danger, and we don't believe there's a compelling state interest in allowing gambling any sooner. So we're going to let it go into effect in the prescribed time, 1 year from the date that it essentially got certified. Scott and I talked on the show the other day. The current Secretary of State, a guy named Denny Hoskins, he used to serve in the state Senate. And I know you guys were talking about video VGTs or VLTs when I first came on. Denny has long been a proponent of essentially passing legislation that would legalize and regulate the VLT or VGT market in Missouri. Right now, they exist in an area called the gray games. They're not taxed. They're not regulated. There's no rules around them. And so Denny Hoskins for several years was like, hey, let's legalize that. At some point, the VLT crowd and the sports betting crowd they essentially came to a place where they couldn't agree. And they tussled with Denny several times. So when he became Secretary of State, I don't think he had any interest in doing them any favors. And when it came down to, is there a compelling state interest in shortening the rulemaking portion, he decided there wasn't.
And are these the machines that are in some of the convenience stores now or not?
So, yeah, those machines, like I said, they exist under essentially, they call them gray games because it's sort of unclear in the law if they can exist. You can go to certain states like Illinois, Pennsylvania, Las Vegas, or Nevada, and there's state law about how they're regulated, about what the payouts have to be. They can be audited, how the cafes or models have to be constructed to prevent children from getting to them. Missouri has no real rules. And so it's really up to each city and locality if they want to try to enforce or block them. So, for instance, a couple of years ago up in Platte County, Missouri, the prosecutor up there, a guy named Eric Zahn, he prosecuted, he had them ripped out of gas stations, smashed them there, and he was like, look, these things are illegal. Springfield, I think recently they just revoked the license to serve alcohol for Rapid Roberts because they're allowing them in. But it's literally city by city, county by county. There's no hard and fast rule. The Gaming Commission has essentially said, guys, we don't have the resources to go monitor every gas station, so we're not going to do it. If they ever pass legislation to look like what Illinois did, then it'd be a revenue stream for the state. It would have required payout amounts, all that kind of
thing. Could they have ever separated the online sports gambling and the electronic gaming machines into two separate deals, or did he always keep it together?
So that was the big problem. And they actually did separate at some point, but we almost never passed gaming legislation in Missouri. I mean, you talk about the history of when we got casinos, and you go back to the Boats on Moats campaign. The legislature's just never really been able to come together on this thing. And so they knew if they separated them, if one passed, the other was never going to pass. So it was always like it has to be a package deal. And the sports betting guys, they figured out, hey, we would rather be aligned with the casinos than against them. The casinos will always be against the VGTs and VLTs. They view them as just straight competition. So they'll never be on that side. And I think most likely the point we get to in a state where we get real serious about VLTs being regulated and legalized will be the point where we are struggling with revenue. If you look at Illinois, I mean, sports betting doesn't make states that much money. Video lottery makes states a ton of money if it's taxed and regulated like it is in some of these other states.
So the gas station, let me ask you, the gas station slots that you see around, those are, those are gray area machines. But the VGT machines, like in Indian casinos, those aren't the.
If they're in a casino, they're fine. It's just in
Okay.
Missouri that technically in Missouri, the only gaming that can take place are on those 13 casino
Boats.
properties.
Yeah.
Any gaming that takes place off of those is considered illegal. Now there's
Right.
all these debates on are these games of chance or not, and you get deep into that thing, and that's why it's just basically been state by or city by city and county by county.
Okay.
So DraftKings and Circa win the two basically standalone untethered license for the state of Missouri.
Yeah.
Explain what that means versus tethered, and because FanDuel is coming in tethered to, I believe, St. Louis City Soccer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I read.
Yeah, and it's weird because my understanding was if you were tethered, you had to be tethered to like a casino location and at Boyd Gaming or something like that. But it was an interesting situation. There's a whole lot of backstory in this. Like my favorite story is that the chief of staff for the state's attorney general went to work for FanDuel just like a month ago, presumably to help them with this process, and then FanDuel doesn't get one of the two licenses. Only 3 people applied for the 2 licenses. It was DraftKings, FanDuel, and Circa. And essentially what Circa convinced the Gaming Commission was, and I actually saw that the chairman of the Gaming Commission is a guy named Mike Lira. We served together, and I saw him at the State Fair's ham breakfast the day before, and he literally was like, you should tune in. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. But Circa convinced them, hey, FanDuel and DraftKings, they're going to go after the exact same type of gambler. And Circa goes after the whales. They go after the bigger gamblers. They're more of they're just a different type of service. And so they said, listen, if you want to generate the maximum amount of money for the state, you should have 2 different groups that can go all over the state. And they convinced the Gaming Commission because, a lot of people early on thought it would just naturally default to DraftKings and FanDuel. But Circa came in with a good argument. So now FanDuel is now tethered.
Right. How much money are we not getting in revenue for the state of Missouri by waiting till December 1st? And I guess my question is, it was pitched as it'll help schools, I believe, education. Is that legit? Is that not legit? Who's going to profit off this?
So it will, but I think the estimates I've seen is maybe about $40 million a year to the state. The state's got about a $30 billion budget. So we're talking, it's what? It's not very much. 0.1% of 1% impact on the state. And that was one of the things, during the lead up. If you recall, sports betting spent $55 million on the ballot to get passed. They got passed by like 1,000 votes, maybe even
barely passed.
It was super close. So there was even a recount right at the end. I mean, but it's really not a lot of money that sports betting generates for the state. I think VLTs or VGTs would generate well over 10x what sports betting would generate, which is one of the reasons that the Senate for years had this debate. If we're trying to impact the state budget, it would be much better to go after the VGT, VLT, or to do them together. But the casinos always fought it, and frankly, the casino is kind of a dying model. I love casinos. I mean, I was at a casino 2 nights ago playing poker. But the idea, you've seen the stories about Vegas is struggling right now, and part of it's they inflation, and they started charging $50 for a lemonade and stuff like that. But part of it is everywhere you go, you can get the gaming experience. You can, if you go to Kansas, you can go to a casino, or Oklahoma, you can go to a casino, you can bet on your phone, you can go to a gas station. So that experience has sort of become everywhere. And so casinos in Missouri, they still trying to hang on to their monopoly, but it's slowly going away from them.
Were you surprised it passed this time? And does it have anything to do with the number of people now that are going over into Kansas and Illinois and spending their money, helping those state budgets, I guess, because they just go where their phone gets picked up as being in those states and place their bet? Did you think it had a chance this time? And what was the push it over the top this time?
Well, it was the first time they ever put it on the ballot, and they spent $50-some million to get it done. And there's really no organized opposition. I mean, the fact that it only got 50.07% or whatever, when they outspent their opponents 55 million to like 10,000 is pretty crazy when you think about it. There was a lot of people, especially during the campaign, they basically said, I don't really know that this is going to help. And then there was, a lot of people that said, if you look at the states that have legalized sports betting, bankruptcies up, foreclosures up. In fact, somebody has done a study, and I don't have it handy, but they said in states that legalize sports betting, your average credit score falls by maybe not a full percentage point, but they just write the state's credit scores down because they know they're going to have more bankruptcies, more foreclosures, more people that can't pay their bills. And so I think a little bit of that just sort of seeped into the consciousness. But, this was the first time it ever been on the ballot. They were never going to get it through the legislature. So this is the only way it was going to happen.
Tell us about your own love for betting. You said you play poker. I mean, the legend of Randy Murf down at the local casinos?
Listen, every time I'm at Downstring, I order the Murf, his classic drink. I know his friend Dale probably better than him, but the legend of Murf it pervades the poker room at Downstream. So I got in, I was in college when Moneymaker won the World Series. And like everybody, we started hosting poker games at the house. And, I always loved it. And so I was listening to the show earlier when you guys were talking about what was the first casinos around here. When I was in law school, so this would have been like 2005 maybe, I drove down to Miami, and first I went to Stables Casino, and they had like one game going, and then I went to the Quapaw and found a game, and I didn't know a soul, didn't know anything about how to play in a casino, just wanted to play poker. And then I started dragging my brother over there, and then my dad would come over. We used to we'd stay at the Microtel Suites, drive out to Quapaw or Stables and play poker.
Yeah.
That also,
Elijah, I know that you keep up your license. Do you know anybody that might be able to help a buddy of ours that got a ticket doing 95 and a 70?
I've been really lucky because usually I'm leaving the casino about 2:30 in the morning, driving back to Springfield, thinking, man, I left 2.5 hours later than I was supposed to drive back.
So I always go faster on the way down because I'm so excited. Usually on the way home, I'm like pissed off at myself and listening to the radio. So,
well, tell us about your radio show, when you're on, and give us the details.
Yeah. So, growing up, my dad did construction work, and he never allowed swearing on the job site. So the only thing we could listen to was talk radio. So I grew up on Rush Limbaugh and all the old guys. And so when I came out of the legislature, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't really want to practice law. And got approached by KWTO, and they're like, "Hey, we've always had a morning show. We've never had an afternoon show. Would you be interested in doing it?" So I started the show in probably 2021. It's 4 to 6 p.m. on 93.3 FM and AM 560. And then we podcast some of the interviews to Spotify every day. But it's been a lot of fun. We've gotten to interview people. Like we interviewed Vivek Ramaswamy during the presidential campaign, and we interviewed Kane, the wrestler. And so we've had some really fun, big ones we've done. And then last year we won our first Missouri Broadcasters Award. So it's a lot of fun. We do it every day, 4 to 6, Monday through Friday.
That's awesome. So Kane masked or unmasked?
He was, he was unmasked. It was great. I interviewed him. His name's Glenn Jacobs. He's the mayor of a town in Tennessee. I think at some point he wants to run for higher office, but I interviewed him. And then 6 months later, I was at the RNC convention in Milwaukee, and I got to meet him in person. And great guy, super fun to talk to. In fact, if you go on social media right now, that New York mayor candidate, they have that video where he couldn't bench press 135. So Kane's now challenging people to bench press competitions online. I'm sure he's probably not going to lose to anybody.
And probably nobody argues with him as the mayor either. Yeah, he's one of those guys that, oh, you're right, Glenn. You're right. Yeah. So, well, Elijah, we appreciate you coming on and clearing that up for us. And can we have you back on again here in a few weeks?
Yeah, love to come back on.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Elijah.
See you, Elijah.
You bet. We segue from there to an old buddy of all three of us here.
There he is. Oh, there he was.
And there was Phil Montgomery. We lost him already.
His head was too big and his camera blew up.
Isn't that the truth?
There he is.
Jesus Christ, this friggin' technology.
I hope you didn't hear what Murfin said there, Phil.
I heard it. Okay. I heard it. I love him.
Hey, would you tell us about Randy Murfin, the football player at Ozarks?
Randy Murfin was a great football player.
Was he?
Yes, he was an awesome football player. If he'd have been about 3 inches taller and about 20, 30 pounds more, he would have been a big time player at linebacker.
Was he?
I got the pounds now.
Without all
Yeah,
the
well, we all
athletics?
got the pounds.
Yeah. No,
Heck, I outweigh half the NFL offensive linemen now. So,
well, we were bragging on you at the start of the show, talking about the way you follow college football now, and
oh my gosh,
the SEC in particular, being a Bama
yes, sir.
fan. And,
oh yeah. I've got the Bama shirt on tonight.
There you go. How did you handle last year with Bama? They kind of took a little step back in the post Nick Saban days.
Mm-hmm.
Are they back this year?
Oh, who knows? They played a lot of young kids last year, but it all boils down like last year. I got tired of watching the quarterback Milroe. He could miss receivers that were wide open. I think Murf or Dan could have hit those guys, and I mean he'd miss the kid by 15 yards, and you're like, who is he throwing the ball to? And he was a great athlete, unbelievable athlete, but it was just a challenge. And if their quarterback plays well, which he was a 5-star coming out of high school, if he plays well, they got a chance to be pretty darn good. But if he doesn't, they'll be a 8 or 9 win team again, probably.
Were you a fan of the hire DeBoer? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, DeBoer. Yeah, no, he had the credentials and everything. There was 2 or 3 guys they were in love with Dan Lanning out of Oregon because he had been on the staff there at Bama at one time. Had worked for Saban for a year or 2, and he's a great coach. But they decided to go with DeBoer, and you sure wouldn't want to be the guy to follow Saban or follow some of these guys. That is an impossible road to navigate.
Well, we had college football last weekend, and I watched a large part of that K-State Iowa State game, Farmageddon as they call it, between the rivals there. And I guess the most exciting part was outside the stadium when the quarterback's dad and brother got in a fist fight out there.
Yeah, it sounded like there's a little problem outside the stadium, and that's in a foreign country. That's not, if you're as Americans, that's not really your best move.
Yeah, I think they were fighting in a puddle, I think, weren't they?
I saw that. Yeah.
Hell, you could end up in a foreign jail and be there for a long time.
Well, Phil, first full college football weekend coming up. Are you excited? Do you kind of plop down and 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. or how do you approach it?
No, of course I'll be doing the honeydews and everything on Saturday. I'll watch it. I've been, DVRs are great. I can record a lot of games, and I'll be watching it at some point during the day.
Kicking off the day with the best one, probably with Texas and Ohio State up in the shoe at Ohio State. That line has dropped to where Ohio State's a 1.5 point favorite now. Right. It's just 2.5. What are your thoughts on that one? How would you bet if you were putting some chocolate chips down, as Ned would say?
If I were to bet the ranch or bet Puryear's house on this one, I think I would go with Texas. Ohio State's a great program. There's no doubt about it. Last year, even though they lost to Michigan, I felt like they were the best team all year long. They are able to recruit at the SEC level. They're one of the few schools out there that's outside of the SEC that can do that. But things have changed over the last 3 or 4 years with the NIL. Now it's not which coach can recruit the best; it's which coach has the biggest checkbook whenever they go to see the kid. But anyway, as far as this game is concerned, they're both breaking in new quarterbacks. Even though Texas Arch Manning did play a decent amount last year. But the Sayan kid at Ohio State, he was committed to Alabama, and then when Saban retired, he pulled that and went to Ohio State. And he's supposed to be really an outstanding quarterback, but this is going to be his first start. I think I've got a feeling that this year Ohio State lost a lot of good players. That team last year they were loaded. They've still got some great players. they still have some great players left over, and with their recruiting. But I think Texas is going to go in there and sneak out a victory. I think they'll cover the 1.5.
Hey,
There's no
Coach.
question. Part of the hype on Arch Manning is that he's Arch Manning.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if he's Arch Jones or Arch Smith, would he be rated as highly as he is from what you've seen as a quarterback?
What I've seen, he's pretty darn good. I mean, the kid can run. He's got a great arm. He just needs some experience. He knows the game. I mean, he knows the game inside out. Just go sit down with Eli and Peyton for a few hours, and your knowledge will become a lot better. But I think he's going to be a great player. I wish Bama could have got him, but he probably made the decision that he needed to make at the time.
You got the Missouri's playing, I think, Central Arkansas, and Arkansas's got Alabama A&M.
They're playing Bama. Arkansas's playing Bama. They're opening with Bama.
Bama Light, and OU's got Illinois State. So a lot of scheduled wins for our local / regional schools. But Missouri State, first game ever as an FBS member, going to the Coliseum to play USC and Lincoln Riley. The Bears, last time I looked, were a 34.5-point underdog. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. It was 35.5 on ESPN that I looked at this evening. That is a lot of points. Granted, USC is probably going to win the game. They should. If not, Lincoln's going to be looking for a new job. Then on the next day. But a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, the Bears went to Fayetteville, and that game went into the fourth quarter. In fact, the Bears led, I think, with about 8 or 9 minutes to go.
Yep.
USC, it's not the USC that we grew up with, or that Pete Carroll had there 15 to 20 years ago. This group, 35.5 points is a bunch of points. And if the Bears can score 3 times, which I think they can, USC's defense is not good.
Yeah.
Their offense, now granted, they're going to have a quarterback who can chuck it, and they've got receivers who can run and catch it. They're going to score 6 or 7 times. But if they turn it over a couple of times, and hey, you've seen it, been around a long time, where teams come out in that opener and they will, first couple of drives, they'll drive and they'll score and they'll look great, and then it's like the wheels come off. And they start making mistakes, getting penalties, turn it over a time or two, and before you know it, it's halftime, and they're up 14-7 over a team they should be up by 4 or 5 scores. If this game were played in week 3, it probably, I don't know that 35.5 is enough.
Yeah,
but it's not week 3, so I would take the Bears and take the 35.5.
And it's a Bears team with a veteran quarterback in Jacob Clark, who came back for one more year.
Right.
Is one of the better quarterbacks in that league in CUSA. Kind of as a whole, it's going to be a rough transition because it always is for everybody.
Sure.
2 or 3 wins, that's about the bar of expectation for Missouri State going into this.
Yes, I would think so. The preview magazine that I have had them picked, I think 7th in the conference out of 10 or 11, however many there are. So by that, they could win 3 or 4 games, but they're probably going to lose 1 or 2 of those. I think they'll get 2 or 3 wins, and there's 2 or 3 there that are winnable. And I think week 2 at Marshall is winnable. Marshall, it's not the Marshall that we've seen over the last 20 years or however long. A very, very good group of 5 team. Marshall lost. They lost a bunch of kids. Their coach, Charles Huff, used to be an assistant at Bama, and he did a great job at Marshall. And then he left, and I forget which job he took, but he took a bunch of their players in the portal, went with him. And so they're a completely new team. They have hardly anybody back from last year's team that played any and all. So I'd say that's a winnable game for the Bears in week 2. And, then they get the one, the tough, to me, the tough one, the one that's going to be bad. SMU. USC, you got to remember, USC, they're going out there. There won't be anybody there but friends and family.
Yeah.
It's not like going to Fayetteville where they're all crazy, or going to Okie State or one of those games. Okay. They're going to USC. They'll be lucky if there's 20,000 people there.
Yeah.
And they will show up late and they'll leave early. And
Bill, we're losing you on your picture there.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was falling asleep.
Dan said it would be a win if we got your entire
Is Dan over
head
there? Is Dan
right.
up there? Is that Dan? Oh my God, he ain't any better looking than the last time I saw him. Hi, Dan. Love you, brother.
Bears, any?
Pardon me?
Do you ever go over and watch the Bears football?
The last time I went, didn't go last year. I'm umpiring softball on Saturdays a lot. Last fall, I didn't do much of anything since I was in the hospital a little while. But the year before, I did go late in the year to the what was it, South Dakota State game?
Yeah.
They had the big, huge tight end that is with the Packers now. I forget what his name is. Scott, you ought to know it.
Is that Tucker Kraft or?
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy was a beast.
Yeah.
But that team, they resemble North Dakota State. They resemble Northern Iowa. Those guys must all drink from the same water fountain.
Yeah.
Because they're huge. But I went to that game. I've only been to a couple games over the last few years.
The couple other we wanted you to talk about, big one Saturday night is LSU at Clemson. That's one of those that somebody's going to start in a little bit of a hole when they're in their search for a national championship, but it doesn't matter anymore. Just get the playoffs.
What's that spread? What's that spread, Scott?
You know, I saw it. Was it 3.5, Bill?
Yeah, Clemson 3.5.
Okay.
Oh, that one, golly, I thought about that one all day after you talked to me. LSU seems to not do well in their openers. Clemson's getting a lot of pub about this is a year, but are they the darling child of the media for the ACC? That was kind of Miami last year, and they got off to a great start, and they lost 3 games, 3 out of their last 4, something like that. And didn't even make the playoffs. Miami didn't. Clemson made the playoffs. They won the conference, but were they really that good? I didn't think that much of them. This game, even though Clemson's at home, I'm going to take the 3.5. I'm going to take LSU and the 3.5, and I'm probably going to miss this one. I just don't.
Do they win it outright? LSU.
I said I'm going to take the 3.5.
Yeah.
I can't say they're going to win that one. I think Texas will win outright. I think we're going to talk about the other one. But yeah, no, I can't say that Miami's going to win it outright.
Or LSU, right?
I'm sorry. I don't think I can't say that LSU is going to beat Clemson straight up, but I do think they'll cover the 3.5.
And then on Sunday, you got a fun one with Notre Dame going down to play Miami. Miami, I believe, 2.5-point favorite over the Fighting Irish there.
Yes, 2.5. Yeah, I saw on Facebook, we got the Catholics versus convicts again.
There you go.
They're selling those shirts again.
You can't say that. You can't say that anymore, Phil.
What's that? Oh, is that politically incorrect?
Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
But no, it's that game goes way back. Murphy, remember that one? Back when Medeiros was a senior, and me and Tom Cox and Rusty went to South Bend and saw the Catholics versus convicts game.
Oh, nice.
We were there on Notre Dame's dime, and then he turns around and goes to Miami. But what an experience! What an experience getting to be on the field in pregame and those people that were playing in that game. And that was the year Notre Dame won the national championship. But the Catholics versus convicts, that was quite a situation there, because I was in the middle of the brawl before the game. Whenever they're fighting in the tunnel, I just have to be standing right in the middle of it when it breaks out.
Well, who do you like in that one?
I ran and hid fast, because I stepped up on a set of bleachers. It was right inside the tunnel.
Notre Dame's got a new quarterback, I think, don't they? And
they've got a new one, and of
Miami
course,
does too, with Cam Ward gone, obviously.
Yeah, but they got Carson Beck. Carson Beck got a lot of good experience in big games. So I'm going to go with the Hurricane there. They're getting 2.5. I think Notre Dame's going to have to find their quarterback, find their footing with a new quarterback. Notre Dame's got more people back as far as returning starters and so forth, but Miami's had some good recruiting years, and they broke out the checkbook pretty well down there and continue to do so.
Who's your pick preseason for national champion? If you had to bet your mortgage on it,
If I had to bet your house,
yeah.
gosh, Scott, why you put me in mind? Okay, preseason.
Dan, did you think he'd just rattle somebody off with this?
I thought he'd have somebody.
Come on, Dan, help me here, buddy. I just think there's so many people that have had to be replaced. I'll give you 4 names.
Okay.
Bama, if Ty Simpson, the quarterback, comes through, because they've got the rest of the pieces. Bama, Georgia isn't going to dry up and blow away. Kirby Smart's recruited too well there. Ohio State and Texas.
3 of the 4 SEC schools.
SEC and Penn State's going to be knocking on the door.
Yeah. Well, Phil,
Penn
we'll
State's
bring you
gonna be
back.
Scott, can I ask Phil
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Sometime, Phil, I want you to come back. You're talking about that brawl with the Catholics and convicts. Maybe you could talk about an almost brawl one night at Uncle Bentley's at a football draft that I think maybe you and Scott might remember.
I don't remember that. Do you remember that, Scott, when I threatened to hit you over the head with a damn beer bottle if you opened your mouth again? That was one of the few times that he was ever quiet. He was quiet as a church mouse. The rest of we were at a fantasy draft.
Yeah,
the rest of that draft, he was, because he knew I'd do it. I was crazy enough to do it.
I appreciate that, Dan. Thanks for that memory there.
Isn't he a nice guy? Isn't he a nice guy?
Well, Phil, guys, we'll bring you back from time to time to pick some games, and we appreciate you coming on, okay?
Hey, it's no problem. Enjoyed seeing you guys.
See you, Phil.
Thanks, Murphy. Thanks,
Dan.
Coach. See you guys.
See you.
Phil Montgomery, the man. He was kind of slipping below the frame of the phone there. It was almost like I wanted to grab him and pull him up a little bit,
sliding down in his chair.
We're losing Phil. So
next time his wife will have to stay behind him there and keep holding him up.
Well, we thought we'd finish up with just some brief fantasy football notes. We had our first listener league draft last week. I didn't like my team coming out of it because I kind of panicked and took a quarterback way too early, even though it was Josh Allen. How did you guys feel about your teams?
I liked the first half of mine. I didn't like my kicker picking so early. That was I sat there and tanked for the full 2 minutes almost and went with a kicker. So I couldn't figure out why I did that. So I wasn't happy with that, but we'll see how it goes. The top half's not bad.
Yeah.
I like my quarterback, like a couple of running backs. I hit auto pick once and it popped a kicker out about 2 rounds too early, I thought, but
that's what I'll blame it on. That's what happened to me too.
There you go. Well, some of the things for those people who have drafts coming up this weekend, since our last show, had the news come out today that Rashee Rice is going to miss the first 6 games of the season. He agreed to that suspension. It will start with week 1 with the Chiefs taking on the Chargers in Brazil. So you got to make a decision if you want to spend a draft pick earlier on a guy that will be very effective when he's playing, but you're going to be without him for 6 weeks with Rashee Rice.
You know who they play when he returns, don't you?
Is it Raiders week?
Raiders.
Oh, of course it is.
Nice. Adam Thielen, I believe he's 35 now, gets traded today from Carolina to the Vikings, his old stomping grounds. That's kind of where he made his name in his career. Minnesota's got to fill some holes with Jordan Addison out the first 3 games due to his own driving problems with a DWI there. So Adam Thielen to the Vikings. Spencer Rattler has been named the starting quarterback for the Saints. Run now, run far away from anything Saints-wise other than Alvin Kamara, maybe Chris Olave, but Spencer Rattler, not the best quarterback in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. Brian Robinson Jr. traded to the 49ers to back up Christian McCaffrey. And then yesterday with cutdown day, Detroit traded wide receiver Tim Patrick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not a big newsmaker, but if you look at why, one of the preseason stars is Isaac Tesla, depends on how you pronounce it, the former Arkansas receiver. He's a 6'4" kid with great hands and runs about a 4.3 40. And he had a great preseason hooking up with Jared Goff some there. So they've kind of cleared out some room for him to maybe move into the number 3 slot. So if you're looking for a late round draft pick, Isaac Tesla of the Lions, a rookie, would be a good one to stash on your bench for later on. So, guys, Labor Day weekend coming up. I'm going to watch some football all weekend. Murf, you got any casino plans?
Well, I think I'm just going to go football and then probably head to the lake Sunday and Monday for one last lake getaway before football kicks in high gear. So that's about it
You
for
can
me.
go down and win a Jeep Bronco or anything? Or
Try to win a Jeep Wrangler Saturday. So if anybody's downstream, I'll be back playing a Moneybags 10-cent machine right by Red Oak Steakhouse. So stop by and say hi to me.
Can
They'll
they
treat
come
you
up
to dinner.
behind you and tap you on the shoulder or not?
Any of our listeners can come by and talk to me as long as they want.
Very good.
Wow.
Well, that's going to do it, guys. A lot of fun today. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We'll do it again next Wednesday night. Everybody, thanks for watching. And if you didn't see it live, check us out on the Facebook page. We'll always put it up there as well. So, guys, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
See you guys.
Gotcha.